Good afternoon. We're going to start chapter 21 in Luke. Start with verse 1. And he looked up and saw the rich men casting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting in thither 2 mites. And he said, Of a truth I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast in more than they all. For all these have of their abundance cast in unto the offerings of God, but she of her penury hath cast in all the living that she had. So Jesus was watching people give. Do you think Jesus watches us give? I think he does. I know he does. And he was watching these people give. He was watching the rich men and how they were casting into the treasury. And he was watching the poor widow. And he remarked on the poor widow by saying that she had cast in more than they all. What? She wasn't rich. She only had 2 mites. A mite was like the smallest Jewish coin. Like in our lingo, it would be 2 pennies. And she just threw it into the offering. The rich men were throwing in a whole lot more than that. But he said, but for all these have of their abundance cast in unto the offerings of God. Let's just say they all had $100,000 and they cast in $100. $100 is a lot more than 2 mites or 2 pennies. $100 is a lot more than 2 pennies, but to them, $100 was nothing. If they had 100,000, and to the widow, all she had was those 2 pennies. So we can see how she had cast in more than they all, because they just cast some of their abundance, and she cast in everything, all the living that she had. Does the Lord see you and see your offerings? Yes, he does. He sees what you give, and he sees how you give, what it matters to you, what means to you. You know, I know some people that give very sacrificially. I know them. They give very sacrificially, but they want to because they want to show the Lord they love him. And that's what I think the widow was doing. She was showing the Lord she loves him and loves him more than anything. And if the rich men, if they cast in a worthy portion of what they had, so they might have to worry a little bit about where their money's going, if it's going to stretch over all their rich way of living, that might be different. But they weren't. They were just casting in what they knew they were expected to give. Or should, in their own hearts, what they should give out of their abundance. But it's hard when you have an abundance. It's hard to break into giving all you have. Just like we studied about that rich young man back here and how the Lord said to sell all that he had and give to the poor. Come follow me. Oh no, he wasn't going to do it because he had too much. It seems like people that don't have very much are willing to give more than people that have a lot. So this is the Lord showing us that he does see how we give, what we give, and why we give. So he's just showing us that sometimes if you give till it hurts, the widow did, the Lord sees that. I don't know all about how any one of us are giving now, but sometimes there's a need for you to give a lot. There's a need. And so if you do that, you know, God sees that. He sees that it's a lot for you. If the rich men had given a lot for them, he wouldn't have said this, but it wasn't a lot for them. It was just out of their abundance. Okay, so verse 5 says, And some spake of the temple, how it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts. So the temple must have been really beautiful. And it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts. People had sent things to make the temple beautiful. Those were gifts, probably. And goodly stones, things that were put in the temple that nobody had ever seen before, probably, or been around. They got to see those kind of things in the temple. So some spake of the temple and were talking about how richly adorned it was, richly made beautiful. And Jesus said, "As for these things which you behold, the days will come in which there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down." Yes, it happened. And I heard the reason that it did was because there was a rumor that the Jews, when they had built the temple, they had gold on the inside of the mortar, inside between the bricks, between the stones that it was built of, and the Romans were looking for that gold. So there was not one stone upon another that wasn't thrown down. They throw it down because they were looking for the gold. And they asked him, saying, "Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign shall there be when these things shall come to pass?" So they wanted to know, is it soon or is it far off? Is it going to happen right away? And he said, "Take heed that ye be not deceived. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. For when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by." So Jesus was beginning to foretell, prophesy, what was going to happen in the last days. Now, that about the temple was going to happen not very long after that. This was like 33 AD, and 70 AD was when the Romans were going to come and tear it all down. But Jesus took this opportunity to let us know things that we need to know about the end times. He said, "When you shall hear of wars and commotions." Do we hear of wars and commotions? Yes, every day. Before that, he said, "Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ. And the time draweth near, go ye not therefore after them." It is a time of people wanting to prophesy in his name, and people have said that they were Christ. And he said, "Go not therefore after him. Don't think that it is me, because it isn't." Then said he unto them, "Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." We know that's happening all over the world. "And great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven." You know, I was looking at a post that somebody put up about earthquakes, and how that ring of fire over there in California and then all around the Pacific, so active with earthquakes, so active. Then I saw a place where it showed all the earthquakes that had come upon America between 2015 and 2025, and there are hundreds. And there are earthquakes, and great earthquakes there are. We know in the last time that Haiti got hit by an earthquake, it was a great earthquake, and it was devastating to them. And there's places now that have been hit with earthquakes. So earthquakes are getting more and more and more significant, and in different places that you don't expect. We looked on that map where it said where it was all the earthquakes in America, and there was in South and North Carolina. I mean, other places around, over on the eastern Gulf, the eastern side of the United States. There wasn't any in Florida, but I have felt an earthquake in Florida once. It wasn't very large. I mean, it wasn't very strong, but it happened, and I felt it. So I know that diverse places are going to feel earthquakes, and not just feel them, but they're going to be great earthquakes in diverse places. And famines, which is where there isn't any food. And we already know, because we get pictures sometimes of people in some of the African countries, that there has been famine, and we see they don't have any food, and they're asking to send food to them, send them means of getting food. Famines and pestilences. And I believe you can call this COVID virus a pestilence. Pestilence is where it's infections and it's things like I saw in another country there were locusts, swarms of locusts, and I mean there's just horrible things happening in this world, and diseases and things that are really pestilences in this world, where they are bacteria or viruses or insects or anything that really eats up our food or causes disease. Those are pestilences. And fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. But before all these they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. Before all these, fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. I didn't go over that, but I think fearful sights, the spread of the internet and the spread of social media, there's lots of fearful sights that you can see on there, and you don't want to see them, but they're there. They're something that you can see. And then it says, and great signs shall there be from heaven. Well, all the time you're looking at social media, Facebook or YouTube, you can see when they begin to talk about meteors that are headed this way and things like that. And it's going to be worse as time goes on. It's going to get worse. But it says, before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. Now I know that is happening in places in this world. So far, America, we're not being thrown into jail. We're not being that kind of persecuted as far as being a Christian. We're not. But it is beginning. It is at the beginning. And if there were, if something different hadn't happened, we were heading in that direction really fast. I know that there's a lot more of anti-Semitism in this world. And that means the hatred of the Jews. But that ain't, when Hitler had the Holocaust, it wasn't just the Jews that died, it was Christians too. So the Jews, yes, they are being persecuted, but we're also headed in the direction that us Christians are going to be persecuted too. And it shall turn to you for a testimony. So when you are delivered up to the synagogues or into prisons, if you're being brought before kings and rulers for the Lord's name's sake, they're going to talk to you and say, and what have you been teaching? What have you been? And that's where it's turned to us for a testimony. We need to make a good testimony. We need to be ready to make a good testimony before anyone that asks us why we believe what we believe and what we believe. Now, I about run out of time, and we're going to get back on this tomorrow. So God bless you, and we'll see you then.